So good afternoon, everyone. If we can all please take our seats. Achi is in the room. No selfies yet, though, but I can expect that will happen at some point. So as some of you might have noticed, APRICOT is 3 days long rather than the 4 days we've done for the last few years. I'm still trying to get used to, this is the closing plenary. So anyway, welcome to the closing plenary. It is actually being streamed next door as well if you don't want to sit in the room. So if we do have to overflow, it will be next door also, and of course it's online. So I would like to invite our keynote speaker for the closing plenary. Please welcome Billy Leacock-Chi, the chairman of CFS Advisors, to deliver his keynote all about designing AI-optimized data centers. Billy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. APRICOT. For the closing keynote is always challenging. Right? You can ask any question in between, make it more less formal, more interactions. I think that will be much more easier. Okay. So today my title is all about designing AI optimized data center. Okay, why in Malaysia? So if you look at these two statements, actually Malaysia been attracted many billions of dollars of investment. Okay, from statement from here, from the MDEC, for the past 2 years, we have attracted 21 billion US dollars investment in data center. And we also have additional 32 billion US dollars of investment in data center pipeline that have not been realized. Right? So that is for data center investment in Malaysia for the past 2 years. And if you look at the second statement is from Ministry of Investment and Trade. And beside all the usual incentive, the tax and capital intensive they are giving to a normal investment company into Malaysia, and they're putting up additional investment for, okay, if you are doing renewable energy, and if you are investing energy and water efficient equipment for data center, and they will give you additional incentive. Why hardly you can see any country that is giving additional incentive beside the normal incentive, okay, for any foreign investment? But Malaysia have done it. Okay. The reason why, because we have too much influx of data center demand coming into Malaysia. And you know, all these AI machines, they are energy efficient, hungry machines, and they also drinks up a lot of water when they are running on the data centers. So that's why we are giving this special incentive just to incentivize those people who are setting up the data center in Malaysia. Okay, so with all this new influx of investment, and if you look at the way how the processor power is moving, right? And you can see that the GPU at the middle, right? From 2020, the GPU power, right, is running at 400 watts per chip. And then moving to 2023, it gone double to 800 watts, okay? And last year in NVIDIA, the NVIDIA product launching, that they have announced this Blackwell chip, which is running at 1,000 watts per chip. Okay? With all this new investment coming in and with all this new chip design consuming more and more power, it makes data center design very challenging. Because usually when we design a data center, it takes a time horizon for us to design, especially on the M&E equipment, etc. And when these things are keep on changing, means that the design that we are doing have to be very flexible and agile to adapt to all this new change. Okay? So just give you a bit of view of the work that I've done in Malaysia. Okay? So this is co-location data center. This data center, I will say, is quite common in Malaysia. anything that built before 2020, 2022, will be based on this kind of design framework. Usually 5 to 6 story built, right? And then you have a built-in substation, right? Usually medium voltage substation, 33 kV. And with this 33 kV, usually you can power up site power of about 21.5 megawatt, okay? So the design build of this building, usually you have the ground floor for M&E equipment, and then moving upwards to other floors that are placing other M&E equipment on top of it. And then the remaining space, then you will use it for the data hall, this one, okay? M&E on the ground floor, then moving up, and then the site will be a data hall, okay? And the design capacity, if in terms of the year of 2021, 20 kilowatts is considered very high. Because of those days, usually the maximum rack capacity ranging about 8 to 10, right, at those times. Okay? And moving forward in 2020, that's where all the AI investment is coming into Malaysia. And we receive a project, okay? The customer are asking us to design a site power of 85 megawatt, okay? And in order for us to cater for this kind of site power, and they also have mentioned that the rack capacity that they want to cater is 40, which is double from the 20 to 40 kilowatts per rack basis, okay? So with this kind of power capacity, we no longer be able to use the traditional design matrix and approach to do it. So that's why we use this new different concept for us, okay? Copying the factory style type, okay? Very long floor space, and usually the height of the building is 20 meters, which usually break into two portions. The ground floor, we will lay for all the M&E equipment, and then the DC hall will be putting all the data center rack space equipment. Okay, if you can see that for this site, we have to use about 30 acres of land just to develop this data center. Okay, on this area, we actually have to build a dedicated substation just for ourselves. Okay, and imagine this dedicated substation will power up 85 megawatt. Okay, through here, supplying the power into here. Okay, that's the requirement in 2020. Okay, and moving forward, 1 year later, 2023, an even bigger project in Malaysia. So this time, okay, is 400 megawatt. Okay, land size given from customers is 130 acres, and then the rack capacity, and again double to 80. Okay, so with this kind of capacity requirement, it's very challenging. Right, I would say it's first of the kind that in Malaysia that you have to bring in such a power capacity in one area to just purposely build for data center. Okay, so this is how we do it. Okay, we have to build an even bigger substation. Okay, dedicated. This substation is using a 275. This substation is using a 275 kV capacity into that area. And then we have to build a special right-of-way, okay, high voltage transmission line from the dedicated substation to deliver the power to individual data center. Okay? And the transmission line that we are configuring at those days, that time, was 132 kV. Okay? And each of these data center will power up 100 megawatt. Okay? And this colo data center will usually power up at a 25. This one, compared to the 2021 design, not much difference. Okay? The only thing is that the substation, instead of built into the building, now we have a separate substation placing outside. Of course, the capacity of the equipment is slightly different compared to the 2021 concept. Right? We are placing more equipment outside just to ensure there's more flexibility for us to maneuver when the customers require change. Okay? Question? Okay, this is the view of the substation. Okay? We have to build one, okay, just to cater for this site. And then you can see that on this side, okay, is a dedicated right of way, just like the fiber cable that you guys are pulling everywhere. You need a special dedicated right of way. Okay? So this alone, the switchyard, okay, is taking on a 10 acres land on the entire development. So things are getting more interesting in 2024. Okay? This time, the size slightly bigger, not much difference. The site power is about 450, and the rack capacity are even more challenging. So this time is 180 kilowatt per rack. Okay? Why 180 kilowatt per rack? Because the customers want to build a dedicated DC just for AI machine. So just now those previous cases that you can see that they are placing the traditional enterprise, the network gears, the storage system, as well as AI within the same data center. Okay? But this time the customer say, I want dedicated purely for AI machines. Okay? So that's why what we have done is that we have created different concept. Okay? We maintain a hyperscale where they can put those traditional equipments into a hyperscale site. And for AI-specific workload, they have to put into all the AI machines data center farm. Okay? So same concept, but slightly different compared to the previous case. Okay? We still build a switching station. We build a switching station at the top, north area. Is a 275 switching station. And then this time, instead of 132 kV transmission line that we are putting in throughout the entire data center campus, we are putting a separate 275 transmission line. And bear in mind, all this is the customer investment they have to invest, right? Because these are all special features that is beyond normal power delivery from the power company, okay? So from here, the central core of this transmission line, 275 kV transmission line, and then we will easily interconnect with individual different data center concept, be it AI concept or hyperscale concept. So with this, on each dedicated plot of AI server farm, and we also have the own dedicated transmission switchyard. And we are making it even more flexible for customers. Okay? They can, on the day one, deploy a 132 kV switchyard, which can power up about 100 megawatt on this site, okay? For this site, 100 megawatt. Or if they decide to move the power up, okay, higher than this 450 that we have configured for them, they can change the configuration and put in another dedicated switchyard here, okay? Which means he can practically power up this site more than 450, okay? So that's how flexible that we are designing the site for the customers to decide later, okay? Beside the master plan that we have done. Okay, so because the way that we have seen and experienced, power capacity is something that I will say I myself will not know, the industry themselves also will not know how dense the rack capacity will be in the future. Okay? We try to guess, but every time we don't make it. Okay? It seems like the industry is moving much faster than everyone else. So this time, the way that we design the data center, especially for this AI data center, we make it fully modular. So it's like a configuration that you can plug and play anytime, as and when you need. Okay. So just now from the substation, right? That 132 kV substation, the power input into here, and we have all this modular transformer, the container type, M&E equipment switch yard that we put on top on this area. So as and when we feel for example, the rack capacity has gone to 300 kilowatt per rack, then they can easily change certain configuration on this area and make it to higher capacity so that they can supply and support to the higher density that they require. Okay? So just a glimpse of how the power transfer works from external, from the switch yard, 132 kV. We step down that 130 kV power line into 11 kV power line. Okay? From 11 kV power line, then we have the switch gear over here, okay, and transfer into the transformer, and transformer will step down again into 415 volts. That's where the normal servers will take the voltage. Okay? And the power will deliver into a data hall. So from this concept inside the building here, actually we do not have much M&E equipment except the cooling equipment, a lot of pipes and racks only. Okay? So we make it flexible for customers. Okay? And by the way, all the generators are also slightly different concept. Normally, the generators for data center will be using a 415 volt generators. So for this case, we are using 11 kV generators to supply the power to the data center customers. Okay? And of course, AI machines, they heavily rely on liquid cooling. Okay? So for liquid cooling, we need to have a lot of water. Okay? And the way to cool the water is to use this cooling tower at the top. Okay? Also, the cooling tower, if you look at the size of the cooling tower, it's actually quite an oversized type of cooling tower that we are using. Okay? Yeah, so that's the picture of the cooling tower, oversized cooling tower size. So that to cool all the heat generated from the AI server. Okay? And interestingly, right, things never stop. In 2025, actually we received the request in 2024 and 2024, but we have a bit of doubt, right, whether we can do this. Right? Then after some consideration, they'll say, let's do it. Right? So this time is a gigawatt site. I think we'll be the first in Malaysia to have a gigawatt site. Right? So the land size they're given by customers is about 634 acres. Right? And we break into two. This whole thing is still in progress. We have not finalized everything, but I'm giving a glimpse of how we are doing it. Okay? So we break into half, almost half, and half is using a solar farm. So the solar farm tag along together with battery energy storage systems, so we can harvest all the energy, store there, and then when we need to use it, then we will push it to the data center area. Is on this side. Okay, and then for this site, since it's we need to do 1,000 megawatt, okay, and we have to plan for even bigger, switch yard that we required. Okay, and this time the switch yard is on the north top portion. It's a 900 megawatt switch yard that we are planning. Okay, so this site will be 100 megawatt supplied by solar, and then 900 megawatts supplied by the switch yard. Okay, and then because of the scale of the heat requirement, okay, that we need to support, and we also need to create our own water reservoir on site. Okay, just to make sure we have sufficient water supply coming from the external site into local, this whole campus, and then store there and supply to all the data center required. Okay. And rack capacity, oh, sorry. Rack capacity, I have no idea. If you ask me today, I'm still doing the study. What is the max rack capacity that we should design and cater for customers? Our customers also asking us, what is your idea? What's the rack capacity that you think we need to cater for? Okay. I have done some research. I think the highest latest rack capacity right now is somewhere around 300 kilowatt per rack. Okay? That's the highest that we have seen. So whether we want to design it, we are not sure, but we still have to discuss with our customers. Okay? So after so many experience of doing data center, data center campus, etc. So of course, because there are so many influx of requirement, a lot of people also come to us and ask us, can I have a land, right? Can I develop that land into an AI data center? Okay, so at least this most common asked question. Okay, so at least you have some view of if you have a big piece of land, whether I can do it, right, as a data center farm also. So the first one is that, can I use my multi-story commercial building for AI data center? I would say 99% of the time, it's not achievable. Okay? One very simple fact is that the commercial data center wasn't designed for computers racks. It's designed for human use, and the layout is not efficient. And even though you have a big space of commercial building, the M&E usually takes up a lot of space for your data center. Just look at just now the AI farm, right? The M&E space ratio is about 60% compared to the rack space, right? The rack space, I remember, is somewhere around 20%-ish, and then the remaining space are for common facility usage, okay? So commercial building, I would say 99% can't. Another very important factor is the floor loading. Okay? Commercial building, I have seen so many commercial building, I think the loading for the floor space max will go somewhere around 7.5 kilonewton per square meter. Okay? And all this AI data center, one rack, if you're using this latest NVIDIA 72 model, the rack capacity is about, you need to have the design of 3 to 4 times of the space, the floor loading space that you have in a commercial building. Okay? So the next question, if I have a large parcel of empty land in downtown city center, is it feasible to do AI data center? If cost is not a concern, it's possible, right? Because usually you look at the power requirement for the data center are huge. If you need to build a substation within the land, I think will be a bit of waste of money, right? Just to achieve the same thing. And most important thing is that the way I've seen the locations of all the data centers of this AI site, they are not network proximity required. That means you don't need to be very, very close to a port. Okay? So it can be far away, so you still can achieve the same performance and result. Okay? Then the next one is that, can I convert my large industrial factory into an AI data center? So the chances are yes, right? Because industry factory, usually they are designed to carry a lot of M&E equipment, as well as they have a big, large space. Okay? So that is possible. And if I have a big land in a suburb area, can I do it? Because if you look at the master plan, right, for all development, when they design a one big location, at the very beginning time, when they're doing the master planning, they already plan out the grid, power, water, telecommunication infrastructure requirement for the entire area. So certainly if you are going to one area and say, I want to build up a 275 kV substation, I want to build up 500 megawatt of capacity at the location. Usually, that whole suburb area may not have the right infrastructure to support it. Okay, it's possible, but I would say it will be a bit challenging. Okay, rural area is the same. Okay, I think the rural area, the more challenging portion will be on connectivity and power. Okay, because your power grid for the entire country, okay, normally to the rural area, the grid line capacity is much more smaller compared to the industrial area. Okay. So if I have a purpose-built data center that constructed before 2020, can I do it? Okay. 50% of the chance of success. Okay. It very much depends on few things. If the floor loading that you designed those days are catering 20 kilonewton and above, you solve the floor loading issues. Second thing that you have to remember is that because all these servers require a lot of liquid run into the server rack, and then there will be a lot of pipings requirement, right, going into a data center hall. Right? Last time you hardly see any pipes into a data center hall. Now, if you are running an AI data center farm, a lot of pipes are going through into it. So whether you have sufficient space to cater for those pipes are also important consideration factors. Okay? And then you need a lot of cooling tower, big capacity cooling tower. If you're rooftop or you have adjacent space that you can cater for that, then the chances are high. Okay? Warehouse, most of the time can't, right? Because of the warehouse, usually they don't have, the master plan doesn't cater for big power incoming into the site. Okay? Then come to power interconnection, okay? Because some of the clients have seen that, oh, Billy, you are doing all this because there's a power line cutting into your land and all this. So whenever I have a power line cutting through into land, that means I can build an AI data center. So it's also not that easy, okay? If your land is near a power transmission station, let's say there's a transmission station next door, and you are just next door, whether you can get that power from that station. Actually, 80% of the time is no, because when they build up the power station at that time, they already cater for the rest of the development, not to you solely, okay? And you have a huge requirement. You almost will take up the 500 megawatt capacity that they can have, where they have planned, right? So they can't just serve you one customer. Okay? They have to consider other development that they are providing. So my data center land is next to the power transmission line. Okay? Possibility 50%, you have to ensure that power line has enough capacity. Means that the thickness of the cable determines the success rate. The thicker that they are, the success rate is higher. Okay? Because there are different versions of power cable. If you look at the roadside, most of the time, the power transmission tower, okay? The higher they go, the chances are higher. The lower tower that you compare that you have saw around your country, and the chances are low, okay? Because the lower they are, normally the transmission power cable line are small, means that they cannot cater for your requirement. Okay? Usually what we need is the highest tower, okay, for transmission line. If the power transmission passing to my neighbor land, can I tap it? The answer is no. Okay? Even though it's at your neighbor land, you can see it, but you won't tap it, because when the power line cross over your neighbor land, okay, you can use a tower, cross over. When you cross over that land have to be surrendered to the power company because they have to manage it. Okay? Okay, that is very famous in Malaysia. Malaysia, we actually have the power company have actually created a special program, fast track program for you to apply power. 1 year program, he said. Usually, I would say in the region, if you apply a big capacity power, let's say 100 megawatt, don't talk about 500, let's say 100 megawatt power that you apply. Usual time is about 2 to 3 years to get the approval. Okay, that's the usual practice. So Malaysia, we actually have done a fast track program. The company have promised you, we can approve your application and deliver the power to you within 1 year. Okay? But I will say, please note, this is provided you are fully prepared to apply the power. Okay? You have the right configuration, you have the right master plan, and you have the right design for the substation. The design of the substation have to be done by the customers, not the power company. Okay? They have to go through all the validation, make sure are all comply, then they only can deliver, approve your application and deliver to you. Okay? So there's a lot of questions in the industry because now the data center are going very intense in terms of power consumption. Okay? So whether you need a power plant, a nuclear power plant to support your data center. Okay? So there, if you heard from the industry, Meta is buying a nuclear plant, Amazon is doing it, Microsoft is doing it, everybody is moving into a nuclear power. But unless it is existing, then the answer is yes. If you don't have one right now, you think that you can build a power plant to supply to a data center, I'll say it's a long shot game. Because why? From building up a nuclear power plant, it usually takes about 10 to 12 years. And that is provided your country have the right policy and framework and governance to support the development of nuclear power plant. Okay? So that's actually another alternative solution, a quick solution. Okay? You can actually build a gas power plant. Okay? So construction, application to construction usually takes about 2 to 5 years horizon because this is very common in every country. Okay? The only requirement is that you need to have a gas distribution pipeline nearby, okay, which is very adjacent to your land, and you can tap on this, which gives you a very much good cost advantage compared to any competitors. Okay? So with this, then you can have the best ingredient that can quick and develop an AI data center. Okay? And if you are interested to know where are the hotspots of Malaysia data center, I have this article. I put in all the links here where you can click my post and it will describe where are the location, where are the data centers for co-location, where are the data center for hyperscale, where are they moving, and where are the upcoming possible location for new data center. Okay? Yeah, that's all. And by the way, today my discussion, actually I did not touch anything about how to do it within the data center, right? I talk about 130 kilowatts racks. How do you do it? Okay, I only talk about from outside point of view. My yesterday presentation, okay, I think it's recorded. Okay, yesterday presentation, I mainly cover how to design and build AI data center within the data center hall. So talking about the cooling, the liquid cooling, how do you do it? How do you bring the power to the racks, etc. So look up to that presentation. Thank you very much. Oh, question? Any questions?
Billy would love to have questions. I did ask him before the start. We don't normally have questions for the keynote, but I mean, this is such a fascinating topic. I mean, the silence in the room as everybody was watching was amazing.
Entire presentation.
Yeah, John?
Okay. Hi, John from New Zealand. I've
Oh,
noticed
yeah.
that in Singapore, say at Marina Bay Sands, they have centralized cooling, one centralized cooling system for all of the buildings there. Is there any centralized cooling for your data center designs?
Okay, usually, if you saw the slide, right, the picture, we have individual cooling for individual building. We try not to use centralized because different different capacity, different requirement, using different chill water temperature. Okay, we have to differentiate that. If you use one central cooling system, the chiller, and you deliver to chill water into everywhere, that is one standard chill water temperature that you have to deliver. But because now all the crack system, the cooling unit, etc., they can use different kind of temperature. Okay, so AI, I will say usually they don't use chiller anymore. They just need to use cooling tower. Okay, yeah, look up for my presentation yesterday. I described how we can do it. So they no longer require chiller. Okay, so just cooling tower will do. Great question. Anyway. Anyone? Yes.
Well, why not? Hi. Thank you.
Hi.
My name is Remco. I'm from Europe. I'm a board member of RIPE NCC and former data center operator. I've looked at your presentation with absolute fascination. Some great data points there. Taking the high level view, staying away from how you actually build the racks that do this, which is another completely fascinating topic. I'm more I mean, I am wondering about the economics of this though. I remember, this also dates me, when I think Dell first came out with blade servers, and you had this box, and you could fit 6 of them in a rack, and the total rack power required would be 40 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And they did this in, let's call it 20 years ago. And Dell was actually actively going out to the data center operators saying, you need to start building for these 40 kilowatt racks. And you need to start designing your data centers around this. The problem is, as you undoubtedly know, that increasing the kilowatt per rack dramatically increases the investment upfront of building a site like this. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who's been doing data centers that anyone who actually built a 40 kilowatt per rack data center in 2005 actually found themselves up going bankrupt because the numbers were by and large vaporware. Nobody ended up actually using 40 kilowatt per rack, which caused you to massively overbuild your data center and actually having to operate it at a loss. Now, undoubtedly with NVIDIA, mostly NVIDIA, of course, coming out with more and bigger and bigger and bigger, I can't help myself but wondering what the durability is of building a 180 kilowatt plus site. Are we really thinking that we're going to need 180 kilowatt racks for the next 2 decades? I mean, that may not be your remit, but it's a question that I have. Is you're doing this for your depreciation cycle for this is about 2 decades. Are we really doing this in a 20-year depreciation cycle?
Yeah, great, fantastic questions. In fact, the way that we see, as you mentioned, do you need 10 years, 20 years later, will that still work? Right? If you ask me, I also not sure. Right? The way that we look at how the power requirement is increasing over these few years, like I say, maybe it's going for 300 kilowatt, and whatever that you have designed back in 2023, like my case, 40 kilowatt racks, that will obsolete. Then if you are doing it for high capacity AI server farm, then you probably won't be able capture that kind of market segment. But anyway, right, I have been doing data center business for almost 30 years, right? What I will say, personal experience is that, just like the old days, all those Dell servers, right? It's the same. I also have gone into a dedicated server hosting model where you buy the servers, then you lease the servers to people to use. Okay? But what I realized is that the servers usually can only last 2 years to be sellable, because after 2 years, the server will be like, oh no, the capacity is too low. I can't market it anymore. Nobody will use it. But we realized one thing. The market, there are people who will always go for the top-notch computing power, and there are also people who do not really need that top-notch power, and they can settle with something in between. Okay? So that's why I learned those Dell servers, after 2 years, you still can sell. It's just that you have to market to the different market segment that people will use lower power computing. Right? I think this case applies to the data center also. Not everyone will be using all this high-end AI server, right? There will people like normal enterprise that still be able to settle with 40 kilowatt, right? Actually, right now, if I look at the market demand now, I will say a lot have gone into somewhere around 5 to 12 kilowatt. That's a very common. Yeah, 5 to 12 kilowatts. Yeah. So I will say soon they will go up further, right? With this group of enterprise customers, right? It will still be your customers that you can target for. It's just that the target segment is different. You just have to change your business model in order to monetize all the investment that you have.
Yeah, I mean, these are all great points. I mean, what I'm just wondering about is the ramp up really that steep? And how sure are we if it's that steep?
I think I have the slide here. Okay. Give me a sec.
Sure. I mean, while we're waiting for your slide, to fill in on this, people have been, I mean, the 5 to 12 kilowatt range, as you describe, has been more or less a common thing for, let's call it the last decade, right? I mean, 5 kilowatt is sort of a baseline for racks, where the demand, especially if you talk to enterprises and say, well, what kind of capacity you need for a data center? Well, you need 40 kilowatts per rack. And then you go and build one for 40 kilowatts per rack. And they say, oh no, that's too expensive, right? I will gladly make do with like less dense racks, but like 5 times more. And then you're completely screwed with your investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to your question just now.
Sure, absolutely.
The investment, actually the business model for all these big data center, so-called developer or operators, they usually look for single tenant concept. That means one tenant, you come in with your requirement and you sign a long-term contract with me before I build this kind of data center for you.
Of course.
Okay. So they are not looking into the old co-location model where I get ready everything, then I go and pitch to everyone, hey, come and host with me. No. So in Malaysia, we actually are experiencing this case now. If you want a capacity, for example, even 20 megawatt, there will be no ready capacity for you.
No.
Everything is pre-sold before they build. Okay? They can design, and then they can market, and then very fast, people will come and say, okay, I want this built for me. We sign 10 years, plus 10 years, 20 years contract. I think this is also a point that I never mentioned just now, that the ROI for the investor are quite secure. Okay? And this one is the real example of the rack design in 2024. I actually have questions. You know, all days you're operator, you will always tell, we always will innovate. You say, you want 130 kilowatts, why can't you split into multiple racks? So it will be easier for me I don't have to retrofit so many things, right? The reason why they want to pack so many things inside there is because they need to have the speed to interconnect and communicate with each one. So this whole rack, for example, this super micro, this whole thing will act as one computers instead of multiple set. Right? This is the reason why they want to pack so many things, and that constitute to the contribution to the power increase requirement per rack. The meta compute configuration. This one is a pure AI. The meta is in between. They can work as a network switch gear, or it can be an AI server gear. And then the one far right, okay, this Mellanox, okay, is a pure network equipment, okay, supporting 800 200G ports. Okay, you won't imagine that will constitute about 25 kilowatt rack. Okay, the same reason, because they need to have the fast latency, right? Very low latency for them to reach to each. Because normally when you build AI server farm, you need a big pool of all these server rack, NVLink 72. Okay? You can't, if you want to have a better performance, right? So that is some of the case study that why people are using this kind of high density.
All right.
Right?
Very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Any more
much.
questions?
No, please, no.
Thank you for your question. Great question.
We have a social event to go to. This conversation could go on and on. It's truly a fascinating topic. Yeah. Thank you, Remco. So, no, I really appreciate that, Billy. It was a wonderful presentation.
Welcome.
I'd like to give you a little gift, keynote speaker, piece of Aboriginal art from Northern Territory, Australia. So I hope you enjoy it. It has the story of the artist and the piece included within. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Oh, another one. All right. What next? So next up, we're heading into the closing summaries. And next up, we have Maz, who's going to talk all about the conference network.
Hi, this is Yoshinobu Matsuzaki. I'd like to share the report of our conference network. So we have a technical committee to provide and maintain the conference network. So this is an overview of our conference network this time. So the time kindly provide a 2 gig connectivity for us. And we installed the BGP router in this hotel. And we are using the same prefix as this is an APRICOT conference network prefix. And we used we used this in Wellington before, and now we have using it in Malaysia, right? So we need devices, right? APs, switches. So it's a community work. And Minog is a great community. They contribute and help us to provide connectivity here. Thank you very much. And then I decided to provide an IPv6 mastery. Yes, we did IPv6 mastery in the previous one, APRICOT 2024. And this time I decided to provide this as a default. So you are using IPv6 mastery if your device is capable to handle. And unfortunately, Windows seems like still prefer to use dual stack. And this is our configuration. If you want to try at your home, you can just copy this configuration. The material will be uploaded, so don't worry, don't need to take photos. And some statistics. We saw about 1,000 unique MAC addresses yesterday. Almost all, 88% was happy with an IPv6 mastery. And about 100 and plus client are using dual stack. So I guess this is the number of Windows mostly. And 400 megabyte peak. So this is a very usual traffic, right? during the conference, we see some traffic. During lunch break, we see some decrease, and night, nothing. Also, we like visualization. So this time I tried Akborado. I don't know if I can pronounce it well, but this is pretty neat. It's an open source, and it's a containerized, so you can use Akborado if you want to really want to see. I can share the URL with you. This website is accessible from the conference network only, so later you can come to me. Yep. And as I said, we are using the same prefix. So we have a geolocation issue. So I noticed that some service was provided from Sydney, right? So it's not a routing issue. It's a DNS mapping issue. And of course, to fix that, and it takes time. So I did some tweak on our name server here. So forwarded our query to the one of the OpenDNS service, which actually replying the nearest server for us. So that improved our RTT to particular services. So day by day, it's getting better. So thank you very much for Paul, who is actively working on the conference network and the Minot and Synchronous Web, IP Server 1, and the Myland, and M1 Hotel, Petarin Jaya. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maz. Of course, I have to say thank you to Maz for the leadership and organizing all this and carrying the router all the way from Japan. So we got the latest, greatest Cisco IOS XE to make that V6 mostly work. So it was not bad because Brian Candler did this for APRICOT 2024 as an experiment, and some of us tried it and it all just worked. And this time it was the default, which was, I don't know if that was intended as a surprise or not, but the fact that probably nobody noticed says a lot about it. Okay, so next up, I would like to invite Jirong, Director General of APRICOT, to come and say a few words of thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jerong. I'm the kind of new director. Why I say kind of? I'm the kind of new director general of APRICOT because I started in October, and this is my 4th month now. So for those who don't know me, I come from Singapore, and very honored to have the opportunity to be to get this new appointment and be with all of you. I cannot actually remember when was my first APRICOT meeting. I tried to go back and search the photos. I think because if it was 2014, then it was 10 years ago in Petaling Jaya, exactly 10 years ago. If not, then it was the year after, that was Fukuoka. But sometimes when you have attended too many meetings, it's hard to remember. I hope that you don't have the memory lapse like me as well. So as a co-organizer of the APRICOT meeting, very happy to be here with all of you. APRICOT remains the biggest meeting for our community in the region. We've talked about that 10 years ago. I think it still is. Do you think so? Doesn't sound very enthusiastic. I think we can make it better. And why I think so further, there are a couple of things. First of all, we in this meeting, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of APRICOT. And in some ways, is celebrating 30 years of hard work for Philip. Please join me to thank him. You still look very young, Philip, so it's very hard for me to imagine you've been doing this for such a long time. And in my interactions in this new role, I tried to meet more people, and I still ask them the same question. So, do you come to APRICOT every year? And most people actually say yes. And I asked also, like, do you come for both the APRICOT meeting and the APNIC standalone meeting? And quite a lot actually say, we just come for APRICOT because APRICOT is the bigger meeting. So it confirms some of what I just said, right? Is it the biggest meeting that we have? And I also asked them, like, why are you here? Why do you come here every year? And the answer is the same: networking, in-person networking, not the routing networking, but in-person networking. And it says a lot as well. This community being very close-knit, that we always look forward to coming together every year for APRICOT. I hope we continue this spirit and that we continue to share this spirit with our friends and colleagues. And at the beginning of the conference, the keynote speaker Alexis mentioned, let's make networking cool again. I think we already made networking cool. It is still cool, and let's just make it cooler. Now, the last thing I'll just say is, again, I know Philip is going to say a vote of thanks for everyone, but I think, all the conference is about our people, and the conference cannot happen and be successful without our organizers. So please join me to thank our staff. Everything is there because somebody put it there: the bottles, the tables, the cables, the network. Help me, please also join me to thank our silent heroes behind the tables. And everyone outside, I don't know whether some of the people from the booths came in to join us, but please join me to thank them as well, because without that, we wouldn't have a lively atmosphere, be able to do networking. And also, again, big thank you to Molly. Who exercises her influence and brings her family to help out to organize the conference. Yeah, and with that, I'll just, please, a big thank you to all of you, because it is you that made APRICOT 2025 what it is. Here's to another 5, 10, 15 years of cooler networking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been to 28 apricots. I missed the first 2. So 28 of them, which is, well, quite a long time. Well, I think we were saying before, was it last year, a year before? Didn't think I would still be doing this when I first went to Manila in 1998. But anyway, here we are. So thank you very much, Jerong, for your closing remarks. Really appreciate those. Right, so what am I saying? It says here, vote of thanks. I mean, it's really more just sharing the numbers and so on from the week. So far, we've had 873 total check-ins, so in other words, in person here. We still have the APNIC AGM tomorrow, so more people will be coming for that. So we can't really compare it with last year, last APRICOT, because the numbers there included those who came just for the AGM. So let's see what things are looking like by the end of tomorrow. It'll be posted on the APRICOT Facebook page and so on. But this has been a big event. A bit bigger than Molly and I were planning for, to be honest. And so, as I said in the opening plenary, we both really appreciate your patience with us trying to handle the event, not only with the circumstances of having to move from Dhaka because of what happened in July, August last year, but just with trying to find a venue with a short notice that can fit a conference of this size. We were talking about it in NOG reports yesterday, and other NOGs see some of the similar situations. You get to a point where you're getting a bit too big for hotels, which means you have to go to convention centers. But we've been in convention centers once or twice, and we rattle around in those. We're far too small for a convention center. So at this kind of awkward size of, well, what to do? And so, we're fitted in the M world, although we were quite worried about whether we would fit or not, just with the sheer number of delegates every day. So we had when we got here, with a lot of contingency to try and do to make sure the hotel understood how to feed you all and how to do the breaks and so forth. So it seems to have all worked. So I'm quite happy about that. That everybody's had a good experience for it. But I mean, the more serious note is, if APRICOT gets bigger, then we need more space, and it becomes a big problem with trying to find a suitable hotel accommodation. I've had that conversation with APCI already, and it's certainly focusing our mind about where we go in Jakarta next year. So anyway, back to the numbers. For the master classes and APNIC Academy training, we had 126. That includes the instructors, so not as many as last year, but certainly, 109 participants came for the training that we ran last week. Some of those folks have already gone back home. Others have stayed to enjoy the conference week as well. The fellowship program saw 26 fellows coming here. I think it was 4 of the fellows came just for the conference. The rest came just for the workshops, but several of those opted to stay on for the conference week. We gave them the option if they wanted to, and they did stay on at their own cost, which is, it's very good to see that. Sometimes we had a fellowship including the training and the conference, and people said, far too long, can't get away from work for such a long time. But this time, I think it was about 12 of our fellows have opted to stay on for the conference week as well, which is great. What else? Top 10 economies. Well, Malaysia is number 1 by far, 168 participants from Malaysia, 78 from Japan, 70 Australia, 69 Singapore, 48 Hong Kong, 46 from the US, 44 Indonesia, 36 India, 32 China, Thailand, 28, which is, it's nice to see the top 10. I want to pick out one that's absolutely fascinating for me, probably for personal reasons. Mongolia sent 20 network engineers here. That's when Garib and I first went there, I think, what was it, 2005, 2006? We did this tiny little workshop with the 5 ISPs that were there at the time. And we even mentioned the possibility of have them collaborate, maybe get together, maybe a little operator group. Took many years to form the NOG. And MNOG has only had 6 events. Yet you see the success of that NOG, that the network folks want to come to this particular event. And okay, they're also escaping minus 40 degrees Celsius to come to about minus 20 degrees Celsius here. But at least they have come. And it's such a big change, for the size of the country and the size of the industry. It's a very impressive turnout for that country. So I just thought it was fascinating looking at some of those numbers. Small economies, but so many people are coming to the event. So it's great to see that. Of all this, 51 economies represented with 50 sponsors and supporters. So it's very typical of what APRICOT has been over recent years, the number of economies that are participating. Not just Asia-Pacific region, but also North, South America, Europe, Africa, Middle East as well. So it's great to see that representation around the world. I want to thank our keynote speakers, Alexis Berthold, Curtis Linkvist. Curtis flew in and out very, very quickly. It was great to get him here. I've been trying for years, and so at last he made it. And of course, Billy, you just heard. It's great to see Billy back here at APRICOT. Want to thank the masterclass instructor team, come from all over the world, pretty much, some quite long flights to get here as well for those. And just for sharing the knowledge and expertise. And, at least we're seeing that the masterclass option that we're trying to do, so more advanced training, more specialist training, rather than the basic one which APRICOT was founded on all those years ago. So that is working successfully. So thank you to those. Thank you for all the presenters, the tutorial instructors, the session chairs, the program committee. 24 members of the program committee have been working on the program since November. So ably led by Mark Tinker, Mark Duffel, and Achia Tienta. So thank you to the whole PC for putting this program together. They've been trying to do group photos, and Jarong's mentioned as well, but I would like to acknowledge the PC here. Thank you very much, folks. And as the chairs always say, we're looking for folks who are willing to join the PC. We have had, we have a lot of faces who've served quite a long time, but we're always looking for new ideas, younger generation, and so forth. So if you're interested in joining the PC, please shout out when the call for volunteers comes out around about September this year. We'll be looking for the volunteers for APRICOT 2026 Program Committee. So please consider volunteering. We've had some new members in this PC. They've been a bit quieter because they're watching and seeing how it all works. So if you're interested, we'd love for you to join for next year. I mentioned the 26 fellows that we had here. It's kind of interesting this year. We only had 195 applications. Normally, we're absolutely inundated by applications. We only had 190, well, only, but 195 this year. We normally have like 400 or 500, which is just intimidating for the committee. 195 this year, so the fellowship chairs weeded out the incomplete applications. And from those, we offered fellowship to 26 who gladly took it. So we're delighted to have them here. Thank you to Rupesh, Resta, and Aftab Siddiqui for leading the fellowship committee, and also for all members of the fellowship committee. Churning through all those reviews, it takes time to do them all justice. It's a lot of work. I know I've been on the committee myself in the past, so we appreciate your contribution and your time to do those reviews. So again, thank you. Thank you to the fellowship committee. Moving onwards, none of this event is possible without the APRICOT event manager, it's Molly Chim. Jarong already mentioned her, but I've got to say again, none of this is really possible without Molly's expertise and long history with APRICOT as well. And of course, the extended family that Molly brings along, especially Zoe. I remember when Zoe came to APRICOT first as almost a baby, but very young girl, and she's now helping here, running the registration counter. So it's really great to see that long and expert support for APRICOT. So thank you, Molly, and your team. Also want to thank APNIC. I've said quite a few people this week. APRICOT is unique. It's the only network opera event like this that is so closely integrate with a regional registry also having their event. You know my history. I've served on the NANOG steering committee, even as chair for 1 year for some reason. I think I was the last one to say no, but we've tried in different regions to have a more integrated version like APRICOT is. I think APRICOT is special, very, very special, in that both the registry and the NOG have a joint event where everybody is together. Networking is so important. And this is, well, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, it is such a special thing that we've got here that no other region can really do in the same way that we're doing. So thank you to our co-organizer, APNIC, the team, as Jarong said, the silent team there, the silent team next door, and all the other staff who've been helping, not just this event, but over the years to make APRICOT how it is. So thank you, APNIC, for your support as well. Maz has mentioned Paul Wee. I mean, Paul has done so much, not only just on the technical side, but his expert project management, introducing us to the new meeting tool that you've been using. I thought I would try this one out because it was used for peering Asia, and I thought, yeah, this looks quite useful. Because last year we had the peering meet me room at the Athénée, but sat empty for most of the time. We thought, this is a bit of a waste of time. So this time, well, let's try putting table numbers and using the NIC CZ tool instead. I think we guessed a bit wrong because we were absolutely inundated. I'm sorry it wasn't big enough for all your meetings and so on. We've tried our best, we've learned. It's obviously hugely popular. And so thank you, Paul, for that support. Of course, helping with all the network and chasing down local suppliers, and especially just being so modest, but being willing to help all day and night with everything around here. We really couldn't have done it without you. Where am I in my list? Right, so thank you all to all the APRICOT staff running the secretariat, the registration counter, and the peering meet me walls. So I've mentioned Zoe before, but of course there's Ben and Eva, Eunice, and of course John. So thank you for those. Not to mention, we've also got Karen, who's been helping with the local logistics and supplier support and doing a lot of running around for us. Again, invaluable support on the ground here. Also, thanks to Agnes and Grace for their help around the venue, the social events, and just being forever helpful for any needs that we had. Finally, I would like to thank the APNOG board, hugely supportive. Again, not possible without that great group to make sure that at least me as executive director can get things done, can help the team that's producing APRICOT. So I'd like to show appreciation also for the board. Hope you carry on supporting us in the way that you've done in the recent times. So thanks to the board. I'm going to forget things. I know I'm going to forget. Sponsors are very important. And as I said in the opening, we can't do this event without sponsors. They sponsor our event, which lets us pay our bills, it lets us pay for the venue, it lets us pay for a lot of the social activities and all the food and refreshments that you have. So I'll quickly run through the list. So again, I mean, starting really with the first sponsors, VeriSign. VeriSign have been a long-term sponsor for APRICOT. We appreciate that support. The diamond sponsor this year. Laura's sponsored the opening social event, which was slightly special because it was the 30th APRICOT, so we recognize that as well. Flex Optics, our returning lanyard sponsor. So always the beautiful orange, as well as mixed in with the APRICOT colors. So thank you, Flex Optics, for doing that. Our two platinum sponsors, AWS and MyIX. Again, appreciate your support for the event. It's a valuable support that you give us. So thank you for that. I don't think any networking or conference works without good coffee, with the emphasis on good. We set probably an impossibly high bar last year with Jane, who was the Thai barista champion. So this year we had to find another barista champion. So we did track down the Malaysian barista champion. So he has been making the coffees for you for the last 3 days. Netflix, thank you yet again for supporting the coffee cart, making all these fantastic coffees possible. So thank you, Netflix, for that. Peering Forum and the social sponsor were supported by DCakes and by Equinix. Equinix have been long-term sponsor of APRICOT for many, many years, and DCakes return as one of the peering social sponsors. Official network sponsor, as Maz mentioned, was Time, providing us with the internet access here, which of course we can't really do the event without internet access. So thank you to Time. Going back to the other side again, so the gold sponsors. Gold sponsors for AIMS, AMP6, BBIX, Benox, Cisco, Digital Edge, HK Colo, Hilco Streambank, the Internet Society Foundation, JPIX, Kentic, Kinks, the Network Startup Resource Center, OpenDC, Plurium Technologies, Seiko Solutions, who have given us these lovely clocks at the front of the stage, SGGS and SynchroWeb, and finally Team Cymru. Several of these sponsors have supported us over many years, and we hope that you will return and support us next year as well to help produce another event. Moving onwards, the APRICOT Fellowship Program I mentioned before, APG, IDNIC, ICANN, and Internet Society have been long-term supporters of the fellowship program, making it possible for us to bring network engineers from all around the region to the event. Women in Tech sponsors, Akamai and Internet Association of Australia. Again, both have been long-term supporters of APRICOT, and we had an excellent Women in Tech lunch yesterday led by Emily Barner. So that was really, really interesting discussion, and I hope we can carry on in that vein next year as well. For the silver sponsors, we're Arista, BizNet, .Asia, Google, HKX, Microsoft, and SGIX. The APNIC AGM sponsors will be mentioned tomorrow, of course, but CNNIC, JWNIC, and TWNIC. And of course, the bronze sponsors, Guam Exchange, HGC Global, IIJ, ITE, and Sunny Vision. Local support from ASA. And of course, this whole event has been supported by the Malaysian Conference and Exhibition Bureau, which, again, we really support. So that's a nice shout out to the sponsors. So if you would all please show your appreciation. And I've no doubt missed lots of people. I mean, one thing I will say, which is not in my notes, I think this has probably been the best LED screen I've ever stood in front of. I mean, it's, so often you see we tell the presenters, make it clear text because it's going on an LED. You don't want your small text to be invisible. I've stood at the back of this room, and even without my driving glasses, I've been able to read the smallest text. It's really been such a fantastic screen. So I'd like to thank the AV supplier and the support team for really just, I don't know, it's truly wonderful screen. So here and next door. So thank you guys. It's otherwise, final thank you is to the hotel. I think they've learned a lot about an international conference, to be honest. Probably more used to local, one-day conferences and 1,000 kids who are off to play sports, which we had at the weekend, which was just, I don't know, was crazy here. And, weddings and all the usual things. So I think this one's been a learning experience for them as well. So, but, I want to thank them for their help in pulling this event off also. So that brings us to next year. So we already announced where we're going. We've done that before. So as you know, we're off to Jakarta in Indonesia. So I'd like to invite Arif, who's the chair of EPGI, to join on the stage and introduce us to APRICOT 2026, please.
Yes. So, thank you, Philip, for the stage. First time for me actually in this stage in the APRICOT. So hello everyone. I will introduce myself first. I'm Arif from IPG IDNIC, I'm the chairman of Indonesia Internet Association. Also we call it IPG and IDNIC also. Actually, I'm truly honored can be host of the next event of the APRICOT 2026. First of all, I would like to thank you, Philip, APNIC board, all the organizer, speaker, and everyone who made this event in Malaysia conference such a success. Please applause. We look forward and exciting to officially welcome to you in Jakarta next year. Honestly, for APG, it's been like, 19 years, 19. Last time, APRICOT in Indonesia, but not in Jakarta back in that day in Bali in 2007. It's been a long time ago. Even back in that day, maybe I'm still in college. So this such of a big experience for me and for APG board right now, because it's like we already have 28 years, so already so many generations actually in our organization. So please Hopefully next year will be better for all of us. You will find the dynamic tech community, because from just ISP industry, we already have like, maybe next year will be like 1,300 ISPs. And I think all of them will join the event. So we have rich culture, warm hospitality, of course, from Indonesia, and also the good food. We will bring the many local food to you, and especially nasi goreng, maybe you already know. So we cannot wait to see you guys in Jakarta in 2026. Thank you, terima kasih.
Good day, everyone. I'm Muhammad Arif, Chairman of APGI, Indonesia Internet Association. It is an honor to extend an invitation to each of you to APRICOT 2026 in Jakarta, Indonesia.
The Indonesian Internet Service Providers Association, APGI, representing over 1,000 internet service providers, plays a vital role in Indonesia's rapidly evolving digital ecosystem. As of 2024, Indonesia recorded approximately 221,563,479 internet users out of a total population of 278,696,000. This significant internet penetration reflects the country's growing digital transformation and connectivity effort. In line with our commitment to advancing Indonesian digital landscape, we are proud to host Asia Pacific's largest international internet conference from February 4th to 12th, 2026. This 10th summit will bring together industry leaders, experts, and stakeholders for seminars, workshops, tutorials, and conference sessions, fostering discussion on critical internet infrastructure, networking technologies, and digital advancement within the Asia Pacific region. Jakarta, a dynamic city where tradition meets innovation, is ready to welcome you with rich culture, heritage, and thriving tech scene. Join us in shaping the future of internet development and connectivity in the region.
We look forward to seeing you in Jakarta in 2026.
So thank you very much, Arif, and the APG team who'll be sitting at the front here. They have been here all week, observing what's been happening here, and talking with the APRICOT team as well. So the planning for that has already started. It started several months ago when Molly and I were in Jakarta for Peering Asia last November. So we're working on it, and so looking forward to that event. As Arif says, a long time, a very, very long time. So it's long overdue that we're back there. So very much looking forward to it. So thank you very much. So that pretty much brings us to the end of at least the operator community part of APRICOT. I was going to say don't go away tonight because there's an APNIC AGM tomorrow. So if you're staying around, please go to that. It's taking place next door. This room will be torn down, I suppose, turned over back to the hotel, but APNIC AGM is next door. Tonight, we have a closing social. Now, our opening social, we did say on the website, please consider wearing national dress. I got the memo, but not as many of you did as we did in Melbourne for APRICOT 2020. So, but tonight, totally relaxed, come super casual. It's just an evening. I think, at least for the team, it's kind of it's come to the end almost. And so we can relax a little bit. So a little bit of what it was. We were meant to have the social event on the top floor here. There's a beautiful sky bar. Only when we got here, we discovered that it had been closed. So we've moved to the sister venue. And the website says Chakri Raintree Sky Bar. They rebranded 5 days ago? So it's now Chakri Sky Hill, which was the name of the one upstairs. So we've been, and this hotel rebranded between us signing the contract and having the event. This used to be the Avanti. Grab still thinks it's the Avanti sometimes. So buses leave for the Shakri Sky Hill, formerly the Rain Tree. They start leaving from 6 p.m. There's 6 buses, so they start leaving from 6 p.m., so you've got 5 minutes to get there. No, that's when the buses are provided for. So they leave at 6 p.m. So come join us. It's a sky bar, beautiful view of the Royal Palace, and as the sun goes down, you'll see the lights of KL City Centre and the 3 landmarks. So that photo outside downstairs that you've been posing in front of, that was taken by Molly, just using her little camera on the phone. Beautiful photo. I still think it's one of the most stunning ones I've seen of the KL City Centre. So come join us, come enjoy the view, drinks, snacks. It's a great venue. And otherwise, see you next year, APRICOT 2026. Hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you.